26. Panic in the Kaurav camp. Read by Nirvan Bajaj and Ekveer Bajaj. Mahabharata, chapter 26, Panic in the Kaurav camp. Vaishnapayan then continued, O monarch, King Duryodhana sent spies in all directions to spot the exiled Pandavas and bring news of them. After searching far and wide, the spies came back to Hastinapur and reported to Duryodhana. O Lord, we have searched for the footsteps of the Pandavas in the deep woods, but found no clue to the path they took. For some time we also followed the tracks of their charioteers, but we could not make out where the Pandav brothers have gone. It is possible they have been killed. But my lord, we also have some good news for you. The wicked Kichak of the Matsya kingdom has been killed by some invincible Gandharvas. Instruct us now, O king, what we must do next. A thoughtful Duryodhana then addressed his courtiers. The 13th year is coming to an end, and if the sons of Pandu remain undiscovered, they will have fulfilled their pledge. The angry Pandavas will then undoubtedly become a source of unhappiness for the Kauravas. So try and find them at the earliest, so that they will have to suppress their anger and go into exile for another 12 years. This will remove all conflicts and problems from my kingdom for a long, long time. Then Karna said, Dispatch abler and more cunning spies, O king. Let them make discreet enquiries with people in cities, pilgrim spots, ashrams and royal courts. Let them also search in jungles and caves. Then Dushasana added, Let us do as Karna says. Maybe they live skillfully, concealing themselves, or perhaps they have gone to the other side of the ocean. They may have perished, or they have been possibly devoured by some wild beasts. O king, dispel all anxiety from your heart and conduct yourself as usual. Then Dronacharya said,
Persons like the Pandavas can neither perish nor meet failure as they honor and obey Yudhishthir. I suggest a search should be ordered by men who can recognize them.
Then Bhishma added, I agree with Drona. The mighty Pandavas will never perish, as they are not to be won in battle, and as they follow the Dharma, looking for the Pandavas in places where people are virtuous, kind-hearted and known for their humility. For these are the qualities Yudhishthir inspires among people. Then Kripacharya said, One who nurses the ambition of emperorship should not ignore even ordinary foes, let alone the Pandavas who are skilled in the use of every weapon of war. They will undoubtedly make their appearances in time. Meanwhile, you should make a correct assessment of our military strength as well as that of our allies. But Duryodhana was troubled in mind. He said, Kichak and his brothers have been slain. I believe that this is the work of none other than Bhima, and Serindri, I believe, is Draupadi. We should now lead an expedition to Matsya and look for the Pandavas there. King Susharma of Trigarth proposed.
The Matsya army led by Kichak has given tremendous trouble in the past. He has been killed by Gandharvas now. I suggest that the Kauravas should now invade the Matsya king from the north. We shall plunder its wealth and cattle, conquer it and divide it among ourselves.
Karna was pleased with Susharma's words. He said, The opportunity is favorable, and there is the promise of gain for us. Let us marshal our forces and plunder the Matsya kingdom. We need have no fear of the Pandavas, for they are now without wealth, armed strength and power. Agreeing to the advice, Duryodhana instructed Dushasana, Get our forces in array right now and prepare to march towards the Matsya kingdom. Let the Trigarths, led by Susharma, proceed first and seize King Virat's cattle. The Kaurav army will set out on the following day. Then, O Lord, Susharma and the Trigarths marched towards the Matsya kingdom and seized the cattle of the land. A day later, the Kaurav army attacked the northern end. Meanwhile, on Kichak's death, King Virat had begun to regard Yudhishthir with great respect and had pinned great hopes on him. So one day when King Virat's court was in session, a soldier came and said,
O king, the soldiers of Trigarth are lifting our cattle by hundreds and thousands head. Please rescue them at once.
King Virat hastily gathered together his brave soldiers and princes. And as the chariots were being yoked, Virat said to his brother Shatanik, I am convinced that Kanka, Balav, Tandipal and Grantik can also join in the battle. Give them chariots furnished with banners, coats of mail and weapons. His brother said, I will. The Pandavas thus joined the army. Soon they came face to face with the Kaurav army. In the fight that ensued, the two armies were evenly matched and neither succeeded in prevailing over the other. Soon darkness fell and the moon rose, but the fight continued. Suddenly the three Ghats got the upper hand, and then soon King Virat was taken captive. There was panic in the Matsya camp, and the soldiers ran helter-skelter. Seeing this turmoil, Yudhishthira addressed Bhima. Go and rescue King Virat from the enemy's clutches. This is a great debt we have to discharge since we have taken shelter in his kingdom. Bhima said, O king, at your command I shall liberate King Virat. But stand back along with our brothers and watch me accomplish this feat. I will uproot that mighty tree there, and using it as a mace, I will rout the enemy. But beholding the fierce look on Bhima's face, Yudhishthir said, O Bhima, do not act so rashly. Such a superhuman feat would surely lead to detection, and people will say that this is Bhima. Take up your weapons like the bow and arrow or the sword that are never used by all. Then Nakul and Sahadev will shield the wheels of your chariot. Go together, the three of you, and liberate King Virat. Bhima then started showering arrows on the enemy. Inspired by the advancing Pandavas, the fleeing Matsya army returned to the battlefield. Bhima killed Shusharma's horses. As the chariot came to a halt, King Virat jumped out and attacked the three Ghats. Shusharma too left off his chariot to desert the field. But Bhima chased him and said, Stop! But he did not get too far. Bhima picked him up from his head and knocked him to the ground. He then started punching Shusharma and said, This wretch does not deserve to live. But Yudhishthir intervened. Bhima set him free. But then Bhima said, I will spare his life on one condition, that he publicly declares himself King Virat's slave. Turning to Shusharma, Yudhishthir said, Go, you are free, but refrain from such acts in the future. Overwhelmed with shame, Shusharma paid his respect to Virat and proceeded to his own kingdom. King Virat then addressed the Pandavas. You have rescued me from the clutches of the enemy. You are now masters of my kingdom and my wealth. Kanka, I wish to crown you king. Yudhishthir said, We are happy that you are free, O king. All I wish is your safe entry into your capital and a happy reunion with your family. But, O Monarch, while Virat was busy recovering his cows from the three Ghats, Duryodhana and his councillors invaded the Matsya kingdom from the northern front, and 60,000 head of cattle were led away. The chief of the cowards appealed to Uttara, son of King Virat.
O Prince, your father always speaks of you as a great warrior and a courageous hero. Let the word of the king come true. Come, rescue our cattle which are being led away by the Kauravas.
Uttara said, I would have set out right away if I had a skilled charioteer to guide my horses. My own charioteer has been slain in battle. But once I find a good charioteer, I will enter the battlefield and destroy the Kauravas and then bring back the cattle. As such, I am helpless otherwise. On seeing my prowess, the Kauravas will say, Is it Arjun who is causing us so much trouble? Hearing this, Brahmanala slipped out quietly and went to Draupadi. Draupadi, quick, go tell Uttar that Brahmanala, Arjun's able charioteer, will guide his steeds in battle. Soon, Draupadi said, "O Prince, I hear you're looking for a charioteer. I know Brahmanala guided Arjun's steeds very capably." Uttar said, "But how can I ask him to be my charioteer?" Draupadi replied, "He will surely obey the commands of your sister, Uttara, and if he agrees, you will surely return successful from the battle." Brahmanala agreed to Uttara's request and put on the armor. Brahmanala and Uttara set out amidst the lot of rejoicing, and a maiden blessed them, saying,
Defeat the Kauravas and bring back their fine and colorful clothes for our dolls.
Then Uttara leaped into the chariot and said, "Proceed to where the Kauravas have assembled. I will rescue the cattle and return to the city with them." But as they neared the Kaurav troops, Uttara got scared and said, "Let us turn back. I dare not fight these heroic warriors. At the sight of the great Kauravas, my hair is standing on end and I am feeling faint." And the weak and foolish Uttar began to bewail his fate. "My father has gone to fight these triggers, leaving me alone without an army. I am a mere boy. How am I expected to encounter these mighty warriors? O Brahmanala, let us turn back." But Arjun said, "It was at your command that I come here. If we return now without retrieving the cows, brave men will ridicule and you and women will laugh at you. I cannot return to the city without the cattle. After all the praises that Serendri has sung on my behalf, how can I refrain from fighting?" But then Uttara said, "Let the Kauravas take away all of the Matsya wealth. Let men and women laugh at me. Let the cattle perish and the city be deserted. But there is no place for me in this battle." Saying this, Uttara flung his bow and arrow and leapt off his chariot. Brahmanala followed him. "Return, O prince! This is not how a brave Kshatriya should behave. Even death in battle is better than flight out of fear." Brahmanala caught up with Uttara and said, If you do not wish to fight, come, hold the reins of the horses while I fight the enemy. Fear not, I will fight the Kauravas and recover all the cattle." And so they proceeded towards the Shami tree in which the Pandavas had hidden their weapons. Meanwhile, in the Kaurav camp,
Who could that person be? He is dressed like a eunuch, but he represents Arjun.
yes, it must be Arjun in disguise. But Drona was worried. There are fiery dry winds blowing. The sky is overcast and the horses are shedding tears. All this indicates great danger. Be on your guard, everyone of you. There's going to be tremendous slaughter in this battle. And turning to Bhishma, he said, "This is undoubtedly Arjun dressed as a eunuch. Protect Duryodhan, whom the great Arjun will certainly defeat, and then take away the cattle. I see no one here who can stand against him." Hearing these words, Karna said, "You always speak highly of Arjun before us, but Arjun does not equal even a 16th part of Duryodhan or me." However, Duryodhan was elated. "O Karna, if this is indeed Arjun, our purpose is fulfilled. For now the Pandavas will have to go into exile once again. And if it is somebody else dressed up as a eunuch, my sharp arrows will topple him from the chariot right now." Meanwhile, Brahmanala had come to the Shami tree in which the weapons had been hidden. He ordered Uttara to climb up the tree. He ordered Uttara, "Climb up this tree and bring down the bows that are kept there." Uttara climbed up the Shami tree without question and brought down the weapons. But Uttara could not hold back his surprise when he removed the leafy coverings of the weapons. "Weapons? To whom do these excellent weapons belong? Tell me truthfully, O Brahmanala." Arjun replied, "These weapons belong to the mighty Pandavas." Uttara answered, "But where are the billion sons of Pandu to whom these weapons belong? Where is their wife Draupadi?" Brahmanala explained to him, "I am Arjun, conquer your father's courtier is Yudhishthira, and the cook Ballava, Bhima. Grantika is Nakul, Virat's royal groom, and Trantipal is Sahadev in charge of the cow pen. Draupadi is the disguise of the queen Sarindri. Uttara said, "O Arjun, I am fortunate to behold you. Forgive my having said unseemly things to you." Mounting the chariot, Uttara said, "I am reassured now. I will be your charioteer. Command me and I will drive you wherever you wish. Give me your blessings." Replacing his brother's weapons, Arjun took up his own. Then he took off his bracelets and wore a pair of gold gloves. Tying back his locks with a piece of white cloth, he got onto the chariot. "Do not fear. I will fight the Kauravas and recover the cattle." And as they drove ahead towards the call of camp, Arjun blew his conch shell, Devdutt. Hearing this, Duryodhana exclaimed gleefully, "It is Arjun! The Pandavas have failed to keep their pledge. They will have to go back to the forest for another 12 years. But Bhishma intervened. "The 13th year ended 5 months and 12 days ago. It is for you now, O Duryodhana, to make peace or war on Arjun, whose arrival is imminent." Duryodhana replied, "But I will not give back to the Pandavas their kingdom, so let us prepare for war." Bhishma said, "Let half the army go with you and the cattle towards Hastinapur. Myself, Drona, Karna, Ashwadhama and Kripa will fight Arjun." From his chariot, Arjun surveyed the Kaurav forces. Duryodhana is not to be seen anywhere. I suspect he is trying to escape by a southern route, driving the cattle with him. Let us pursue him. Uttara wheeled the chariot round to chase Duryodhana, while Arjun filled the air with countless arrows. Many Kaurav soldiers were killed, and the cattle broke loose and ran helter-skelter. Arjun drove the cattle towards Matsya and then took the direction of Duryodhana. Meanwhile, Karna and other warriors intercepted Arjun. Arjun trounced Karna and wrought havoc on the Kaurav army. He also repulsed the attacks of Kripa, Drona, Ashwadhama, Bhishma and the others. The ones defeated took to flight. Arjun then used the Sumohana weapon and the remaining army fell unconscious. Later, Uttara took with him the clothes of the unconscious soldiers. Having vanquished the Kauravas, Arjun rounded up the cattle. Then returning to the cremation ground, he put away the weapons. After this, O monarch, the mighty Arjun reverted once again to the role of Brahmanala and guided the chariot back towards the Matsya kingdom. Meanwhile, King Virat, having vanquished the three gods, returned to the capital amidst great rejoicing. "Hail, hail!" Then Virat asked one of the maidens, "Where is Uttara?"
"O king, the Kurus attacked us from the northern front. The brave Uttara set forthwith to rescue the cattle."
But Virat was anxious. He told his soldiers, "Select those from among my soldiers who are not wounded and send them forth to help Uttara." But Yudhishthira said, "Brahmanala has accompanied the prince. You need have no fear. They will surely return successful." Just then, a messenger arrived and said,
"O Lord, the Kurus have been defeated. Uttara and the chariot are returning with the cattle."
King Virat was overjoyed. "Decorate the highways. Musicians and dancers should receive the prince. He must be given a fitting welcome." Then Virat returned to his chamber. He told, "Sarindri, fetch the dice. Come, conquer, let us begin." But Yudhishthira said, "O monarch, gambling is fraught with many evils and I am averse to the game. But if you insist." While the game was underway, King Virat told happily, "Oh, my brave son, he has defeated the Kauravas." Yudhishthira said, "With Brahmanala as his charioteer, Uttara was sure to succeed." Then Virat got extremely angry. He said, "How dare you, you wretch of a Brahman? How dare you compare my son with a eunuch? Why? Is not my son capable of inflicting defeat on the Kaurav army?" Saying this, King Virat slapped Yudhishthira. "Do not utter one more word in this fashion." Draupadi immediately came forward as Yudhishthir's nose was bleeding. Back in the chamber, another messenger came and said,
"The prince has returned."
"I am anxious to see him. Send them in." When Uttara turned round to pay his respects to Yudhishthir, he saw, "Oh, but who struck you? Who committed this sin?" King Virat replied, "He deserved it. He sang the praises of that eunuch while I was talking about you." But Uttara said, "But it is wrong to hurt a Brahman. We must seek his forgiveness." Virat apologized. Yudhishthir said, "I have long forgiven you, O monarch." After Yudhishthir stopped bleeding in his nose, Brahmanala came and paid respects to King Virat. Once again, Virat eulogized his son's victory. "You are truly my son. There is none equal to us. Tell us how you defeated the mighty Kaurav warriors." But Uttara said once again, "But I did not fight the Kauravas, nor did I recover the cattle. The feat was accomplished by the son of a deity." King Virat asked, "Where is the celestial hero you are speaking of? I am anxious to see him and worship him." Uttara said, "He has disappeared, but I think in a day or two he will show himself." 2 days later, when King Virat entered the court, he saw Kanka occupy the throne. He said, "Kanka, how dare you occupy the royal seat meant for kings?" Arjun then rose and spoke with a smile. "He, O king, deserves to occupy the same seat as Indra, the very embodiment of all virtue. He is none other than the great Pandav Yudhishthir." King Virat was shocked. "But if he is Yudhishthir, where are the other Pandavas and what about Draupadi?" Then, O monarch, Arjun explained to Virat how the other Pandavas had worked in the Matsya kingdom in various disguises. And lastly, he said, "I, your daughter's dance teacher, and I am Arjun." Uttara said, "Father, he is the son of the deity who defeated the Kauravas and retrieved the cattle." Soon King Virat said, "The time has come for me to appropriate the Pandavas. If you think it right, I shall offer Uttara in marriage to Arjun." His son said, "Yes, father." Turning to Yudhishthir, Virat said, "I am happy that you have come through all the difficulties. I offer you all I have and beseech Arjun to marry my daughter Uttara." But Arjun said, "O king, as Uttara's teacher, I looked upon her as a daughter. I will accept her as one. Let her marry my son, Abhimanyu." And King Virat said, "So be it." The Pandavas then took up their abode in the Matsya town of Upallavya. Abhimanyu was sent for, and on the day of the wedding, guests poured in from all directions. The king of Kashi, the mighty Draupadi, the invincible Drishtadyumna, and several Brahmins came. Krishna also came with a huge retinue to give his blessings to the couple, and Arjun accepted Uttara as his daughter-in-law in the presence of Krishna. And thus ends the 26th session of our rendering of Vaishnavan's recital of Vyasa's immortal Ithihasa, the Mahabharata. Stay tuned for Mahabharata chapter 27, and it is called Sanjaya's Mission. Please subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment on this video. Thank you and Namaste.